Hey, it's me, Rice Combo, back again with another Honkai Star Rail video. And in today's video, we're just going to be going over my day 3 progress, some tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way, as well as some regrets that you should probably avoid. So let's take a look at where I'm at in this game. So, first of which, I am absolutely loving this game. This game is so great that I really haven't stopped playing it. In between work and late into night, I have just been playing Honkai Star Rail just because this game is so nuanced, it's so new. There's just so many things to do. And so I've gotten up to Trailblazer 27 after roughly about, I'd say, 10, 12 hours of nonstop gaming, probably more. Just kind of depends on the breaks. And so, what I wanted to bring to you was kind of some tips and tricks that I've picked up really along the way. And so, one thing about the account that I want to talk about is originally I was just going to play it free to play, not really worry about it too much, just kind of play it on the side. But this game has captured me. So, I have whaled a little bit. So, I've spent some extra stellar jades to be able to pull characters like Zila, and then even get some other like exclusives in the game. Nothing too crazy. Really, the only reason I wanted to whale was for Zila being such a good character as she is, and I'll kind of go over her and her kit towards the end and what my roster kind of looks like. But one of the things that people have been asking is essentially how to level up or how to level up quickly. So the first of which that you want to look at when it comes to leveling up is making sure that you're looking for activities that give you Trailblazer XP. Of that, you're going to be looking at things like this Trailblazer XP in the mission log. Because, as you can kind of see here, I'm stuck in the storyline. I cannot progress the story until I get to Trailblazer level 29, which isn't too far off because I'm 27 right now. But when you look at all the XP requirements, it's going to take a good bit and a good bit of grinding to get there, which isn't too bad because the game gives you missions where you can get 300, some more here. There's missions that are spread out throughout the day. And honestly, some of these missions, though, I'm not really sure what the trigger is. Like, next thing I knew, I got a message from Hook that said, "Hey, I need your help." Just out of the blue. I was just traveling the zones, and next thing I know, I got a mission from him. So some of these triggers I feel like are pseudo random. Some of the triggers I have found where when you open up into the map, you're able to see some like an exclamation point that shows a side mission that you can do. For instance, I believe this one. Well, no, not this one. I must have done it already, but there are some missions that when you open up the map, as you're kind of exploring, there'll be like an exclamation point here in the corner. That's where one popped up the other day. Another thing that you're going to want to make sure you're looking at when you are leveling up or when you're trying to look to level is in the Interstellar guide, there's going to be these daily missions. Every time you complete it, so one of them you get just for finishing an assignment, just finishing these tasks right here will get you 230, 230 here, another 230, 230, and 230. So you're going to get roughly, what is that? Oh no, I gotta get a calculator to math this out. 23 times 5, that's 1,150. So your dailies are going to give you a lot of extra progress in the game. So it's going to definitely be one of those things that you want to look out for, kind of make sure you grind those out regularly. So for those who were rerolling accounts, maybe the first or second day, you're going to be behind a little bit when it comes to XP, just because you're missing out on this 1,000 plus XP that you're getting per day. And then you obviously, with these missions, there was one at the bottom where you can get extra XP through the simulated universe on your first clear. Another place that you can look at too is when you open the Interstellar guide and go to these calyxes. You can get 50 per, but if you go to some of these caverns of corrosion, so this is where you're going to be able to farm a little bit of gear, you can get 200 Trailblazer XP. And so that's a really good spot to just kind of bump you up if you need that extra, because these refresh daily. There is an Echoes of War, but I would suggest not doing this until right at the end. So we have about 2 days, we're just under 3 days of till the weekly reset happens. You want to push as far as you can, because as you increase in level for your, I believe it's called equilibrium. So as you increase your equilibrium level, these rewards will increase as well. So you want to push as far as you can into the week, so that way you get a higher chance, similar to how it is in Genshin Impact, where the higher your AR level is, or the higher your realm is, the more or the higher access you have to even greater rewards. Because I'm pretty sure this will go even up to two pieces to advance your high trace levels. But once it hits that last day, just go ahead and do your 3. These don't take too long, from what I understand from what other people have covered. And then also you can replenish with gems and these Trailblazer power potions, but I wouldn't suggest it unless you absolutely have to, just because these potions are relatively limited, and these gems you're pretty much going to want to use for summons. Now, if summoning is not something that you're concerned with or don't really have that big of an issue with, you can use this. Just know it's not always going to be the most ideal use of your Stellar Jades, though they are replenishable. You get a bunch of them. If that's the route you want to go with, go for it. There is another source where you can get gems, and that's through chests. So if we open up the map again, you can see that I've got 8 out of 8 here, 10 out of 10, 7 out of 7. I believe if we go to the first planet, you can see that there are a couple places, like this one, Corridors of Echoing, where for some reason I'm missing one. And I've looked around the whole map and I can't find it. So I'm probably going to have to pull up the interactive map, which actually, let me show you what the interactive map looks like. So this is Corridors of Fading Echoes. If we go to the browser here and we go to Jarlo 5, Corridors of Fading Echoes, this will show you essentially where all these points are, collectibles that you can grab, all the chests. So I'm probably going to have to go through and walk around every single place to see if I found all these chests, just to see if I can complete them, because they do give a little bit of extra Trailblazer level when you open up a chest. That being said, let's go back to the game. So we've all kind of gone through some dungeons, or kind of the dungeons and level up tips that way. One thing too that I want to kind of showcase too that I just learned today, that I didn't know about, is if you open up and go to the Ancestral Guide and go to any of these Calixis or even the Caverns of Corrosion. So say we go to this one, because this is the one I've typically been farming. You can actually borrow people's units. So if you go to challenge, say I remove Natasha, and then there's this button here that's usually not there when you start a dungeon. If you click on support, specifically on Calixes and Caverns of Corrosions, you can add friends support and you can utilize them. They'll get some extra credits because you're sharing it with them, but you can bring in other units to, if not help you in the game, you can just use it even just to send them some friends, but also just test out units that you haven't had. Like, I don't have a Bailu, but I can borrow Panda's Bailu. Shout out to Panda, who has been messaging me a handful of times through this process as I'm learning and as he's learning. We've just been talking about the game a lot. But I can borrow his Bailu, add it to my roster. Oh, shoot. That's not what I meant to do. And then I can bring in my Branya, and then now I have pretty much the same team. I just replaced Natasha with Bailu. So that's something that you can do that I'm going to probably start using just so I can test out a couple other heroes that I found. But when you add these support units, don't forget to add them as your friend, because some of these here are people that have sent me friend requests or I've sent friend requests to, and then some of these are just random people that I don't know anyone about. But if I have them, I can then, or if I add them, or if I get them, I can save their UID and then send them a friend request so I can have a Clara later on to borrow. So I am going to talk about one little regret that I have made that I wish I didn't, is if I go to my characters, Now, I don't regret spending any on tracers. I don't regret upgrading my light cones. I think this increases the HP, attack, and defense. I don't regret leveling up my heroes. What I do regret is how much I've spent on leveling up some of these points. Once I got purples, I started upgrading a little bit, but if you can kind of see, I have a +4 here on a random blue, and on some more random blue ones, but these blue ones end up just getting used up. So honestly, I would just keep them at 0, take the set bonus that they give you, and then just not use them, because you're utilizing resources that could be used for other content later on as you're leveling. These purples I think are a little bit more worth it, though you can make an argument that you shouldn't even be leveling these up. But this definitely does help you get a little bit of extra damage, or even just a little bit of extra survivability in the content as you go through. So that's just my only regret, is I've spent random pieces upgrading here, a little bit here, a little bit here. This one I think is a little bit okay. I might even push this up a little bit more later on. But those are that's really my biggest regret in this game. Other than that, it would just be spending so much time trying to collect chests, because I remember going through these modes and walking through looking every nook and cranny for chests, and then what ends up happening is I end up coming back and looking every nook and cranny for chests later, instead of just completing the area and then going back for the chest at a later time. That might just be the collector in me that really just wants to get everything I can on the first run. But it's not always likely, because some places don't open up until later for you. So you'll have to come back anyway. And so the last thing I want to talk about is just what is my main team and what is the roster that I'm using. If I go to team setup, I have typically been using these 4. Seela as my main DPS, Branya, Sarah, the main character, Fire Stance now. Prior to Fire Stance, I was utilizing March 7th because of her shields, but I think Fire Stance just kind of mitigates a little bit more damage. And then Natasha. One thing that I've considered, though, is instead of this Fire MC, I have considered investing into Ting Yun. Just because what she does is buffs your DPS's damage significantly. If you kind of look at her skills, her ultimate regenerates energy, so that would be for Sheila, and increases damage, and her skill buffs damage on a single ally. So she basically makes your carry do significantly more damage, which in my comp, I am running a hyper carry comp where it's basically Bronya empowering Seela, and Natasha and and Natasha and then main character MC buffing Seela to make sure she doesn't take damage. But I think I can lose one of these supports for some more damage to just make Seela do significantly more damage. So kind of in a little bit of a showcase, I'll just go into one of these Calyxes. And actually, I am going to use Panda support here. Just because I want to test out Bailu. I haven't seen her, or I've seen gameplay of her, but I haven't really used her, and I don't really know exactly what she does. So we're just going to start the challenge, and I'm just going to show you what this team looks like. So with the volume, just a little bit here too. Okay, so with this, usually my turn starts with, if I have the ultimate, I'll just start out with the ultimate just to get the kill off the bat and the turn reset, and the damage increase here. So Seela's going to attack. And then immediately go into a damage. Doesn't kill, but she gets her turn again. So just going to attack again. And then a basic should kill. Nope, it's fine. We're just going to generate some energy here. Once again, I'm not really sure what Bailu does. I know that she does heal, and I don't necessarily need to heal, maybe herself. Or I can just do a little bit of lightning damage. But right now, we're just going to heal up, because I'm pretty sure she heals and then splashes it onto another person from what I've seen, which that's actually really cool to have some residual healing on top of the person you're main healing, which just helps. But we're just going to see if we can make quick work here, get that extra hit. And my Seela is really fast, so she'll be getting turn gauge over. We're just going to start by just upgrading the damage with Bronya's ult, increasing damage and attack. We're then going to go to ult, the side character, to get extra damage from the... because her resurgence gives her a little bit of extra damage. See if we can kill this with the ult and buff. We can't, but she should be able to... We have enough skill points for this. Just keep proccing over and over again. Let's regen some skill points. I like to go usually at 3. Bailu being electric actually helps a lot more than what I had previously with Natasha. So, but with this, we're just going to run this through. I will ult after Bronya buffs her. So typically I have Bronya buff with her E to make her go another turn. Then ult her now that she has the damage boost. 3k on a crit. Cheese and rice. I don't necessarily need to heal yet, so we're just going to do a little bit of attack. What does her ult do? Restores HP and grants some invigoration, prolonging. And I'm pretty sure she's able to res once per fight too, so... I just want to see what it looks like, because I'm pretty sure we have this in the bag. That's such a cool looking ult. The nice thing about Fire MC2 is she's a net positive in terms of your energy regeneration, because you're typically just going to rely on her passive, which gives you a little bit of extra shielding to mitigate some damage. But her auto attack, or his auto attack for main character, if you've got Guy, her auto attack essentially helps feed a little bit of her passive, because at 4 stacks she's able to kind of AoE, which isn't necessary, but it also does a second layer of break. So she's always a positive, because you're never usually going to use her taunt unless they're specifically targeting another ally, or if you want to make sure main character takes the hit from a group of enemies. But in this one-on-one, with how easy this one's kind of going, we're just going to kind of fight through this. Don't need to heal. We are going to use this. This also cleanses her debuff that she currently has. I think we can just ult and finish this off. Wonderful. Jeez, her crits are nasty. And that was an undamaged buff. So some extra stuff here. You get blues and purples. But for the most part, this is kind of the team that I've been using, except I've been using Natasha. Bailu, I just wanted to test out that new function that I just learned about. So with that being said, that's kind of the team. Just been running a little bit of just hyper carry damage since I have the Sela. But yeah, those are the tips and tricks for the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it down in the description. I'm more than willing to answer any of them. Or just message me on Discord. I'll put my Discord ID in the comments as well as the interactive map. So with that being said, hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.